Okay, we will go ahead and get started. So if you want to just take a seat on your mat, any comfortable seat, you can be leaning up against a wall, you can have your legs straight out, crossed, sitting on your heels, sitting on a pillow, whatever feels best to you. Take a moment to just close the eyes and to direct your awareness toward the spinal column. And see if you can tell just by drawing your awareness to the spine what angle it's at, how compressed it might be, if it would feel better to lean back a bit, to lean forward a bit. You could press into the sit bones maybe just a little bit more, create a little more space. On an inhale, draw your shoulders up toward your ears. And on an exhale, let them slowly melt back and down until they settle into a comfortable space, keeping the collarbone broad. And as we settle into this meditation, this time of year, I'm always drawn to what is outside, what's going on in the natural world. Things are turning green, and where there was a patch of dirt last week, there's a flower this week. As we drive down the road, maybe we see a field that has a couple new baby horses or calves. It seems like this time of year, there's so many changes going on in the natural world, and we're able to observe that, and it often mirrors, what might be going on in our own world, what changes we might be experiencing too. And if we look to a tree, for example, a tree always knows when to drop its leaves. It doesn't try to thwart that part of its cycle. It just happens. And it could bring to mind the question of, if I were to loosen my grip just a bit, what would fall away? If I were to loosen my grip just a bit, what would fall away? We tend to hold on to things more than we need to. And it's kind of a survival instinct to think more is better. But if we were to relax ourselves just a little bit, maybe it's an extra responsibility or a hobby or a person or a belief, a habit. If we relax just a little bit, what is it that might fall away? And we can think beyond that too and ask ourselves, and how would I respond to that falling away? What would I think about myself, about my world? How could I come to embrace that falling away? There's a poem I want to share with you all. I found it years ago when I worked for the Forest Service, and I was working on a trail crew. We mostly slept in tents in the backcountry for a week or so at a time. And there was one hitch we were on where we got to stay a night in a backcountry cabin. It was an exciting little luxury. And I found in the bedside table of the room I was in a book of poetry. And I wrote this one down. And the next day, while riding my horse down the trail, I repeated it to myself until I had it memorized because the sentiment of it seemed so pertinent. And it seems pertinent to what we are thinking about now as well. It's called So Different by Kay Ryan. A tree is lightly connected to its blossom. For a tree, it is a pleasant sensation to be stripped of what's white and winsome. If a big wind comes, any nascent interest in fruit scatters. This is so different from humans, for whom what is unset matters so oddly, as though only what is lost held possibility. That last line, as though what is, or for whom what is unset matters so oddly, as though only what is lost held possibility. Seems to be a great reflection on the difference between humans and trees, or we could just say humans and nature. The fact that we might feel pity for ourselves or dwell on what could have been, when really nothing else could have been. What has happened, and that's our reality. So, in these last few moments here, I invite you to consider if there's anything maybe that you already have lost, have loosened your grip on in some way. Maybe you could consider how to embrace that and move forward. Or maybe instead you could consider what it is that would fall away if you loosened your grip. Because the things that are good for us, that are right for us, that are nourishing for us, tend to stick around without us needing to grasp white knuckled at them. As we close, we'll start by taking a deep inhale, filling all the way up from the low belly through the lungs. Feel as the lungs expand, how they press into that heart space, how the chest lifts, the throat expands. Maybe sip in just a little more air at the top of that breath. And exhale with an open mouth, just letting it go. Feeling the ease with the body is able to let go of that breath. Trusting that another will come. We'll do one more full deep inhale. Maybe sip in a little more at the top. And again, an open mouth exhale. You can bow the chin in gently. Maybe begin to crack the eyes open, letting a little bit of light in. As the eyes open fully, we can awaken ourselves by starting to do some circles with the head, bringing the ear to the nearest shoulder and then rotating to the other side. And go a little bit slower than your body defaults to. Next time your chin is again down toward your chest, just reverse the direction. Again, consciously slowing it just a little bit. And the next time your chin is toward your chest, stop the motion. You can bring the head back to neutral. We'll inhale the arms up and out to the sides. And we'll start with our twist. So exhale to the left. Bringing your hands wherever they might naturally fall. Root down, rise up on an inhale. Exhale to deepen the twist. Think of hugging the lungs in, bringing the core in to deepen. And then on an inhale, we'll come back up through center. And exhale the opposite direction. Inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to deepen. Inhale back up through center. And then we're going to exhale, bring those hands down through heart center. We're going to do a little bit of an arm warm up just from the seated posture. If you need to adjust your seat at all, please feel free to do so. We'll start by bringing the hands out straight ahead as though we're pushing an imaginary wall in front of us, and then curl into fists. So you have fists with palm face down, and we're going to just bring those fists up, keeping the arms straight until you feel the top side of the arm contract, and then down until you feel the bottom side contract. And then back up and down, up and down. We're going to go for 20 seconds. You might pick up the pace a little bit, but make sure that you're feeling a contraction on either side before you switch. You should mostly be feeling this in your forearms. So while it's warming up the wrists, really the targeted muscle group here is on both the front and back side of the forearm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead, shake your arms out a little bit. We're gonna do the same thing, bringing the arms out ahead of us, but this time we'll turn palms facing toward each other. And then bring the fingers into a fist, but leave the thumbs straight up because they'll be helpful here. We're gonna do the same type of thing where we bring it down and then up. And so we're working on the sides of the forearm, and the thumbs are pulling back toward the forearm and then down, but they stay vertical. Well, they stay in a line, I should say, this whole time. Thumbs point up and then back and then forward. 15 more seconds here. Again, feeling the contraction, maybe picking up the pace a bit. This is another one of those exercises that I find incredibly humbling because I'm like, oh man, why does this burn? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and shake it out a bit. Shake it out. All right. From here, we can inhale the arms all the way up, and then we're going to exhale, come forward into hands and knees position. And we're going to take just a couple rounds of cat-cow to start. So inhaling first. As you inhale, pull back with the fingertips. Reach forward with the knees. Lift the collarbone, lift the chin, lift the tail. Exhale, press back with the knees, forward with the fingers. Round through the back, draw the navel up, draw the chin in. Feel the space between both shoulder blades here. And inhale, knees forward, hands back. Lift, tail, chest, chin. Exhale, knees back, hands forward. Round through the back. Feel the space between the shoulders. 2 more rounds of this. Really allowing yourself to feel how every part of the body engages here. And as you feel ready, we can return back to a neutral spine. We're just going to do some hip circles here. So drawing the hips back and then forward and kind of going in a single direction with the hips for now. You'll notice that if you press into each of the fingertips, this keeps the weight out of the wrists a bit, allowing you to warm up on the wrists. And maybe you even lean further forward as you go forward and further back as you go back. Bringing more weight into the wrists, but more decompression of the lower spine as you come back. And wherever you are, reverse direction, going the other way. If you haven't already synced up your breath, try to inhale as you come forward and exhale as you come back. Last circle. We'll go ahead and find our way to our first downward dog of class. So whether that be against a wall or on the mat, give yourself a moment to just arrive there. Walking the feet out. Maybe adjusting your grip, adjusting your stance. We'll move through our sun salutations here. So we can start by lifting the left leg behind us. Exhale, step it toward the hands. Lower that right knee to the mat to inhale, chest chin up. Exhale, step it forward, fold, let it go. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press into the feet. Come up to standing, arms out to the sides and up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, we're going to bring those hands back up. Interlace all fingers except for index fingers. We're going to exhale, pull to the right, hips go to the left. On inhales, feel the left side body stretching, expanding. On exhales, allow yourself to pull deeper. And then inhale, come back up through center. We're going to exhale, pull all the way down. Plant the hands, slide the left foot back, lower that knee to inhale, chest chin lift. Exhale, really mindfully step it back, place your foot exactly where you want it into your down dog. Nice. Take one breath here. And then rock forward toward plank. We're going to lower the knees and chest and chin to the mat. Tuck the tail. Feel the spine round until the chest lifts, the chin lifts. Elbows are drawn toward the side, shoulders drawn down. Exhale, lower. Press up and back, downward dog. Inhale, this time the right foot will lift. And then exhale, step it through. Lower the left knee, inhale, chest chin lift. Exhale, step forward, plant that foot purposefully. Fold, let it go. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press into the feet, come up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift those hands back up. Interlace fingers the awkward way other than index fingers. And this time we're going to pull to the right, hips, nope. Pull to the left, hips go to the right. Every inhale, feel the ribs expanding, the skin between each rib stretching. Exhales, go a little deeper. Inhale, come back through center. And exhale, fold all the way down. Plant those hands, right foot slides back, lower that knee. Inhale, chest chin up. And exhale, downward facing dog. This is going to be the first dog that we hold for just a little bit. So give yourself a moment here to do any wiggles that might feel good. You might bend the knees deeply and kind of bounce the torso a few times back. That can feel good. You might play with your stance a bit. Try stepping a little bit closer than normal, a little bit further than normal, and see how it feels. If you want to find stillness here, start by pressing into the hands. Think of pressing into the knife edge of the hand, the base of the index finger, and then kind of the butt of the palm, I suppose is what we call it. Press into all of those. Feel how your shoulders are decompressed a bit in the process. Lift the tailbone toward the sky, reach the chest back, and then lower the heels any amount. Maybe you're able to lower them enough that you can kind of lift the toes off of the mat. Return to your breath. One more deep cycle. Rock forward to plank. Lower the knees. Lower chest and chin. Tuck the tail. Inhale to lift the torso up, drawing fingertips back, rooting pelvis down. Exhale, lower. Curl the toes under. Press up and back. Downward facing dog. We're going to get off of our hands now for a moment. So lift this left leg up on an inhale. Exhale, knee toward nose or forehead. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Last one, inhale, lift. Exhale, step that foot forward. Look at all your toes. Make sure they're all pointed forward. Make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. And then press into them. Inhale the torso up. High lunge. Take a moment to just feel what it's like to be head up. We want to think of the energy rising from the feet, up through the legs, through the torso, extending out the fingertips. So if you feel like you're sinking down, like your energy is all pooling into your feet, square the hips, draw left hip back, right hip forward. You can almost think of energetically sliding the left heel back and right toes forward. And then tuck the tail just a little bit to engage the core here. And then lift the arms back up. Maybe sink into this left leg a little bit more. Here for just 2 more breaths, holding this one steady. On the exhale, hinge forward. Bring those fingertips to the mat. We're going to lower the right knee down. Inhale, chest, chin, lift. Exhale, straighten both legs any amount and look back. Inhale to lift. Exhale, pulse back into pyramid. Inhale, lift. And exhale, pulse back. This time we'll hold it. You might step that right foot in a little bit. Check that you're pressing into all 4 corners of each of those feet. And then from there, square the hips. Looking to the front of them, trying to pull the right hip forward, left hip back. Think of that left hamstring really hugging in as you do this. Contracting on the back side of that leg. And then as you exhale the next time, Shake your head out, yes or no. Let it be heavy here. Now, if you want to add a little bit more to this pose, we can walk the hands back. Fingertips are tented and they point toward the back edge of the mat. From here, I'm going to hop that right foot in just until my knee touches the left knee. Pressing into those fingertips, pressing into this left foot, and lift those right toes up. And maybe exhale, lower. Wherever you're at, inhale, bend slightly into this left leg to look forward. And then walk those hands all the way to the right foot at the back edge of the mat. We're going to start by coming up into a high lunge. But then we're going to exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Begin to lean forward so much that we come up onto the left big toe. Press more into the right foot. Maybe lift this left foot up. You can bend deeply into the right leg. We can hold on to a chair, a wall, anything here. Bend the left heel toward the left sit bone and try to keep that knee in a little bit. So if you look back at your knee, it's not filling open to the side. Hands can be still at heart center, or we can extend the hands out to the sides, thumbs and fists. Keep squeezing that left heel towards sit bone, maybe lifting the left knee as much as you can. Our active extension. Before we exhale, set that foot down, lower that knee. Nice. We're going straight from active to passive here. So we can find our Anjaneyasana, our low lunge, by just bending into both legs. Rock the weight toward the big toe edge of each foot. Square up the hips. Sink that tailbone straight down. Check the front side of the body. Is it flailing? Flailing? No. Flaring. Is it flaring open? Or are the ribs still knit in, allowing for some integrity on the front side? Now, options here are always to lift the arms, maybe lift one arm. If you have your right hand against your right knee, you can pull against that to draw the right shoulder back and then lean a little bit and you have that support of the right hand. Or you can have both hands up and maybe enter a slight back bend. It's a little more intense. If you really want to focus on the left hip flexor and quad, you can bring fingertips down to the mat and kind of rock until you're on top of, like you're above the kneecap. From here, bring the torso back up, right elbow to right knee, thumb against index fingernail. Reach this left hand back and draw that heel toward the sit bone. If you can't reach the left foot, you can always use a strap, a shirt, a towel, anything to loop around it. Sometimes it's easier to grab it when you have your right hand down as well. But once you're there, you can alternately kick the foot into the hand and then just pull that heel toward the sit bone. You'll notice it stretches very different parts of that leg. And so play around with, maybe you find that kicking the foot into the hand is like what your body needs and you just stay there. Maybe you pulse, whatever feels best to you. Wherever you're at, check that your shoulders have softened. Find your breath. Exhale, we're all going to release where we're at. Plant those hands down. Now curl the left toes under. You're going to have the option here to move through a vinyasa or to find a child's pose. One thing that I haven't mentioned in a long time is that if child's pose, where your knees are bent and you're bringing yourself back, doesn't feel good in your body, you can always instead do a long prostration where you lay on your stomach, forehead to the mat, reach the hands forward. So those are always options. You want to move through vinyasa, Step that right foot back and just move through your vinyasa. In a moment, we'll all meet in downward facing dog. And then we're going to continue our circle. So inhale, lift this left leg up. Exhale, knee toward left elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. And this time, with intention, step that left foot forward. Lower the right knee. We're going to move into our half splits here. So you might inch that left foot forward a little bit. And then we'll play with bending into the leg and straightening it. Bending and straightening. Once you feel like you can hold it in a straight position and it feels okay in your body, find that and do hold it. Keep in mind that you can always have your hands on something, blocks, books, whatever. Otherwise, if you're on your fingers or your palms, think of pressing your hands forward and drawing your heel back. That'll help you square the hips as you draw the left hip back, right hip forward. Look ahead to the edge of the mat, and then exhale, hinge at the hips as much as you can. And once you arrive at a place where you've hinged your furthest, relax that head, shake it out, yes or no. Keep drawing back with the heel, pressing forward with those hands. Every exhale, let the knee come closer to the armpit. Two more breaths here. On the next inhale, bend into that left knee. We're going to curl the right toes under and crawl the hands all the way back to the front edge of the mat where your right foot awaits. From here, we have a couple of options. The first one is going to be to, again, take a child's pose, take a prostration, do something relaxing in your body. Maybe visit another low lunge if that felt good to you. Otherwise, we're going to work on some shoulder flexion, so finding down dog. Crawl those feet forward a footprint. Press into the hands. Keep reaching the chest forward even as you draw shoulder blades toward each other on your back. And then from here, pressing into the left palm, we're going to reach the right hand back. If you're at the wall, you might be grabbing more toward your thigh. Otherwise, you can grab as low as you can. And then maybe you hover those left toes off the mat. Maybe that leg lifts. Wherever you are, try to use the breath to find steadiness. On an exhale, if the leg's lifted, go ahead and lower it. Return the right hand back to the mat or wall. And then we're going to go ahead and come back to hands and knees position and take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Just how we started that last set. Using the breath here to move through the whole body. Take two more full cycles. Inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll meet in a neutral spine. From here, we're going to lift this left leg up behind us and turn around and look at it. Flex those toes down. Make sure they're not opened out to the side. You might stay right here. This might feel like enough for you. You can always come onto your forearms too if you want to give your wrists a break. Otherwise, reach your right arm forward, thumb and fist. Exhale, knee toward elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, in. 2 more. Following your breath. The next time you inhale, extend, bend that back leg, reach around toward the foot. Try to grab the knife edge of the foot with your right hand. Nice. Now from here, find a point in front of you that's about at eye level, so that you're not looking down at the mat. And kick that foot into the hand. Feel the hips be steady, but the leg lift a little bit more. And exhale, release. From here, we get a lat on our belly. So just inch those knees back, lower onto the stomach. We'll start by working into this left shoulder a little bit. Let's bring the left arm out at a 90-degree angle, palm face down. You don't have to lift your head to check that your elbow's in line with your shoulder. But from here, keep the head lifted for a moment. The right hand is underneath the right shoulder. Press into that hand. Roll onto the left side. Now you can relax the left ear onto the mat. And maybe it feels okay to bend the knees up toward the chest and just kind of relax here. If you want to increase the depth, you can always plant the right foot in front of the left thigh, right knee towards ceiling. And maybe bring the right hand to that leg. We'll take 3 breaths here. Try to make them long, juicy breaths. On your next inhale, begin to slowly unwind. Find your way back to your stomach. We're just going to go to the other side because on the second round, we'll end up doing a different stretch. So this time, left hand beneath left shoulder, right arm out at 90-degree angle. Press into that left hand, roll to the right side, bring the right ear to the mat. Tuck those knees up to allow for a little more stability here. Maybe plant the left foot, and I use my hand around my left ankle to help me plant it, and bring the left hand to that leg. Close your eyes once you arrive there and just breathe. One more full cycle of breath. On your next inhale, slowly unwind. Roll back to the stomach. We're going to take one long prostration here. Bring big toes together, bring palms together out in front. Tuck the chin in, bring forehead to the mat. While you're here, try to relax fully. Soften the eyes, even that space where the eyelids meet. Soften the jaw. Soften the heart, the shoulders, the hips, the legs, the arms. This is one of those moments where we do get to relax, to loosen our grip. For some, these are the moments that are most uncomfortable in a yoga practice. There's moments where we're trying to find stillness and maybe our mind does not allow it. Know that whatever you're experiencing here is completely fine. And allow yourself to just be with it, to observe it and not become part of it. One more deep cycle of breath here. On the inhale, we'll lift the head. And we're going to slide the hands back in underneath the shoulders. Bring big toes together if they aren't already. Maybe when you relax, they fell apart. And press into the tops of the feet. So it's not even the toes that we're pressing into, it's just the, gosh, I don't even know what that part of your foot's called, right below your ankle. The top of the foot. Go ahead and press into that part of the foot. The toes are lifted probably in the process. Tuck the tail and feel your pelvis root into the mat. Now, without using the hands, we're just going to inhale and lift from the heart. Imagine that the heart is driving the movement. The shoulders, the head, everything else is just along for the ride. Now check in with yourself. Try to hover those hands off. Make sure you're not using them yet. Exhale, we're going to lower back down. Inhale, same thing. Tops of the feet, pelvis. Notice that even though the pelvis is grounded, the glutes are not squeezing here. The glutes are relaxed. Inhale, lift from the heart. This time, slide those hands back a handprint and press into them, but keep the shoulders drawn onto the back. Elbows hug in. Lift the torso as much as feels okay right here. Keep leading with the heart. If you feel like your shoulders are in front of your heart, lower back down until your heart can be the frontmost thing. Check in that the tops of the feet are pressed down, that the pelvis is still pressed down, even though maybe the top of the pelvis is lifted. And exhale, lower. Now this is a time to check in. If you're like, ooh, my back isn't loving that, maybe you take a child's pose to counter a back bend. If you feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, spread the feet apart just a little bit. Again, start with pressing into the tops of the feet, press into the pelvis. Inhale, lift with the heart. Slide the hands back, maybe half of a handprint. Press into all of the fingers as you lift up once more. Your deepest expression yet. Maybe you even come up onto tented fingers. Draw those shoulders back. Inhale, lift the chin slightly. Exhale, lower. Relax out of this. We'll all find a child's pose for at least a breath. Knees can be wide to counter that back bend. If you feel like you need to calm the nervous system more, then keep the knees together. That'll be more calming for the nervous system. Take 2 full breaths here. And then on an inhale, We're going to find our way back to downward facing dog. We have to repeat all of that on the other side. And when I say have to, I mean get to, because come on, it's fun. So let's find that down dog. Take a moment here, kind of getting used to being in a more active posture for the first time in a moment. And when you feel ready, inhale this right leg up. Exhale, knee toward nose. Keep the hips high. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Last time, inhaling to lift. This time we'll exhale, try to very purposefully plant it. Even if you know you're going to have to move it forward with your hand, still find a spot on the mat that you're going to step that foot, step it there, and then move it forward with your hand. Check that your toes are all pointed forward, feet are hip distance apart. Inhale, lift that torso up. High lunge, crescent lunge, Alanasana. And allow yourself some stillness here. This is a very active pose, but it doesn't mean that we can't have some sort of ease throughout it. So soften the jaw, soften the heart. Maybe bend a little deeper into that right knee. Keep pulling the right hip back, left hip forward. Keep firming up that left thigh, lifting that left knee to keep the leg straight. One more full breath here. And then exhale, hinge forward. Fingertips plant. Lower the left knee, inhale, chest chin up. Exhale, leg straighten any amount. Look back. Inhale to lift. Exhale to straighten, look back. One more cycle through this mini vinyasa here. And this time we'll hold. If you want to shorten the stance a bit, please feel free to do so. And before you worry about squaring the hips even, worry about pressing equally into all four corners of each foot. It takes a weird sense of awareness to be able to find that. And once you do, you'll find, oh, my hips are kind of already square because I had to do that in order to evenly distribute weight. Maybe you square them a bit more if they need it. And then inhale, look at the front edge of the mat. And exhale, fold. Let it go. Shake the head out, yes or no. Again, if you want to amplify here, walk the hands back, tented fingers, fingertips face the back edge of the mat. As you're here, you're already pressing into the fingers so much that you round through the back. You protract the shoulder blades. Step this left foot in till left knee is against right knee. And then press into the right foot, press into the fingertips, lift that left heel back and up. Lower it down. Wherever you're at, inhale, bend into this right knee, crawl the fingertips forward, and then crawl them all the way to the left foot at the back edge. We're gonna have our active extension, so inhale up to high lunge. Exhale, hands to heart center. Hinge forward, lean forward so much so that you're on just the right toe, and then transfer your weight to that left foot to bring the right heel up towards sit bone. Keep lifting that right knee. Make sure that the knee is still straight in line, that we're not opening the right hip out to the side. Maybe bring arms out to the sides, thumbs and fists. One more breath here. And then exhale, try to be as controlled as you can. Lower that right foot, lower that right knee. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. And we know this pose pretty well by now. So square the hips. Begin to sink into this left leg. Roll toward the big toe edge of each foot to keep the hips square. Draw the core in. And take whatever arm variation you did last time. If you grab the back foot, I advise hinging forward, bringing the right hand down, rolling above the kneecap to bend the leg, and then bringing the torso back up. To reach around and grab that foot. If you roll over the kneecap while your weight's on the knee, it can kind of suck. And again, if you're holding the foot, alternate with pulling the heel in and then kicking the foot into the hand. Two more full breaths here. Exhale, slowly release out of this. Hinge forward. Again, option for child's pose, long prostration or a vinyasa. Your choice. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. We'll all meet in downward dog. And we'll inhale that right leg up. Exhale, knee toward elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale toward elbow. Make sure you're really pressing into the hands as you come forward so you're not sagging into the shoulders. Inhale up. Forward for the last time. Inhale up. Again, purposeful step forward. From here, we set up for our half split. So lower the left knee. Scooch the right foot forward any amount. And alternately bend and straighten that right leg for a moment. When you feel like you can hold it straight comfortably for a while, return to that straightened position. Press the hands forward on the mat. They're not going to actually move, but press them forward, draw the right heel back, right hip back, left hip forward, and then exhale, hinge toward that right leg. And once you hinge as far as you can, shake the head out, yes or no. Let it be heavy. Let the breath be easy. Two more breaths here. Inhale, bend into the right knee. Curl the left toes under. Crawl all the way back to the left foot at the front edge of the mat. This is where we had options to go into down dog for shoulder flexion or to find a restful pose, or maybe to come into low lunge again. So determine what would feel best in your body. You are stepping back for shoulder flexion, then come into a shortened down dog stance. This time root into every knuckle of the right hand and reach back with the left to grab any part of the left leg. Stare at a place in between the feet on the mat, but let the gaze be soft yet focused, and begin to hover those right toes off the mat, maybe lifting that right leg. Use the breath here. It is your steadying factor. Exhale, lower the leg if it's lifted. Release the left hand to the mat. Come on to hands and knees. 2 rounds of cat-cow. Rinse all of that off. Once you feel ready, return to a neutral spine. We'll lift the right leg this time. Again, you can be on forearms here if it feels better. Check that the toes point straight down. If it feels okay, liberate this left arm, thumb and fist. Exhale, knee toward elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, excuse me, knee toward elbow. Inhale, lengthen. 2 more. What you guys don't know is that I'm actually allergic to cats. It's the most ironic part of all of this. I live in a house surrounded by them. All right, go ahead. On this last extension, bend the knee, reach the left hand back, grab the far edge of that foot, and then look ahead of you first. Find a spot to stare at that's at eye level, and then kick that foot into the hand any amount. Try to keep the hips level as you extend that right leg up. And then exhale, slow release, no slingshots. Lower down, walk those knees back, come onto your belly. This time, since we opened the shoulder last time, we're gonna do some shoulder closing. So bring the left forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat. Bring the right forearm in front of it, and bring both palms face down. From here, slide those hands as far apart as you can, and you'll find a sweet spot that's like above the chest but below the throat. You might have to move your body forward or backward to get there. And then you can go ahead and relax the chin into one of the arms. Maybe the chin goes onto the mat. You can curl the toes under and rock the body forward to deepen. While you're here though, try to keep the shoulders drawn away from the ears. That'll deepen for sure. Two more breaths here. Let them be big, heavy breaths. Inhale, we're gonna lift the chin and begin to rock side to side to liberate the arms, sliding them back in bit by bit. And then the only thing we'll do is switch which arm is in front. So right now the right arm's in front, bring it closer to the body, and do the same thing. Slide those hands apart, find the sweet spot, use your toes to wiggle yourself forward, keep the shoulders drawn down from the ears, tuck the chin in, and breathe. Two more breaths. Inhale, rock side to side. Wiggle those arms back in bit by bit. And once you get them back in, we can go ahead and bring forearms onto the mat, but we'll bring elbows directly beneath shoulders. And we're gonna play with Sphinx pose for a minute. So you want your chest to be able to pull through, grip down with the fingertips, draw the shoulders back, and then push down with the pelvis. Maybe the heart lifts a little, maybe the chin lifts a little. This isn't a very dramatic back bend, but usually it's much more challenging because of the shoulders. You can even see my shoulders want to inch forward here. One more breath here. Exhale, soften down. Now you have the option to either take a child's pose, a prostration, or to deepen the back bend. The way that we're going to deepen is by bending the knees, grabbing the outsides of the feet or of the ankles, and then flexing the feet or grab the feet, really whatever you want here. Now start by just lifting the chest as much as you can. From here, begin to kick the feet or the ankles into the hands. Draw the knees toward each other as you do so, and begin to rock a little. On inhales, you might lift a little bit more, trying to rock back onto the thighs as though that's possible. On exhales, you might come forward. One more big push here. Exhale, let it go, gentle release. Everybody find a child's pose or a prostration for just a moment. Allow yourself some counter for that. Breathe deep into the low back. Two breaths here. On your next inhale, we're going to rock forward. So we're back in this hands and knees position. We're going to do kind of a funky transition to the front edge of our mat. And the way that we'll do it is we'll lift this left knee up behind us, keeping it bent. And then we're going to exhale, open it to the side, and try to step that foot forward. Use your hip muscles as much as you can. It's like weirdly awkward. And then from here, curl the right toes under, lift that back leg. We're going to lower the right heel 90 degrees and find our side angle pose. Left hand inside of left foot or left elbow on left knee. Inhale this right arm up. While you're here, think of drawing sit bones toward each other. Flex that right glute. Tuck the tail slightly. Keep drawing left knee toward left pinky toe. Try to stack your shoulders on top of each other here. If you want to take this a little further, we're going to straighten that left leg, finding triangle pose. Keep trying to stack the shoulders. One more breath wherever you are. On an exhale, right hand comes down and crawls all the way to the right foot. We're going to bend as deep into this right leg as we can. Left leg will straighten. Now, if the hips can come down low, then come down low. If that's not an option, keep the hips high. Keep reaching that right knee out to the side. Crawl the hands out to the side. And maybe you can even bring the head down, whether or not it touches the ground. If you are down low, still walk the hands far apart and hinge the torso forward. Two more breaths here. On an inhale, crawl the hands back in. We're going to press back up through center and crawl the hands toward the left foot again. So facing the front edge of the mat, heel toe the left foot out to the side. We're going to find our lizard pose. You might choose to stay lifted here with your back knee up or lower that back knee. And you can lower the torso forward as much as feels okay to you, maybe coming onto forearms, maybe coming onto blocks. If you're still wanting to stretch that right quad, that's where we'll do this option where we can plant the right hand, bend the back leg, and reach around with the left hand to grab it. I often cue this with the right forearm planted. This time I'm cueing it opposite, or not opposite, just different. with the right hand planted. It'll allow you to spin. What am I saying? It'll allow you to twist a little bit deeper here. So you can open up and look toward that back foot. Again, kick the foot into the hand and see what that feels like. And then pull the heel in and see what that feels like. And choose whichever option feels best to you. Maybe come up onto tented fingers if you're feeling like your wrist needs a break. Two breaths here. Slow release on the exhale. From here, we'll curl the right toes under, lift that right knee again, but we're just gonna crawl halfway to the right and find our wide-legged forward fold. So check that all the toes point straight forward. We're pressing into all four corners of each foot. And then from here, we have so many options. We can grab opposite elbows and ragdoll, crawl the hands back. We can grab onto the legs or the feet and pull down. Another option, if you want a more active version, is to interlace hands and try to draw elbows and butts of palms toward each other as the arms hang behind you, or even to just bring hands to the hips and bring the torso parallel to the ground. They all have a different feel in the body. So choose an option that you think is interesting in your body right now. If you want to work toward a headstand, including at a wall, because walls are fabulous, they offer all sorts of support, physically and mentally, then we can go ahead and bring elbows down under shoulders, interlace all fingers, go ahead and bring the head down inside of the wrist. And if you're wondering where on the head should be contacting the floor, if you bring the butt of your palm to the bridge of your nose and then extend your fingers back onto your scalp, where your middle finger is about where we'll be on the floor. So you can do that. Bring your head onto the floor. Maybe you just stay here for a moment. Maybe this just feels nice. If you can bring the legs up while wide, then go ahead and do that. If you're working on getting any lift in general, then crawl the feet in and just rock up onto the toes. Keep pressing onto the forearms as you do so to keep unnecessary weight out of the head. And maybe bring one heel up and then lower and then the other. And you might find that at one point you just kind of hover that other foot off the mat. Or maybe you're like, oh, I can bring both in. So just play with it. We have about 2 more breaths here, so use them as you see fit. On the next inhale, let's all crawl the hands forward, lengthen the spine, look forward. And then we're just gonna exhale, crawl back to the left foot at the front edge of the mat. Staring at that left foot, lift the right leg up behind you, crawl the hands as far forward as you need to do this. And we're gonna exhale, bring the knee toward the back of the left calf. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring it in. One more. Now, option here is going to be to hold it like this or to bring the left hand back to the left foot. It's going to get weird here. And kick that leg straight, letting the hips lower as you do so. Coming into a low archer. So fun. Wherever you are, find your way back to that right leg lifted. Step it behind the left and off to the left. So we have crossed legs here. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, fold, let it go. Inhale, we're gonna move however you want to the back of the mat. So there are some options. You can simply step back and reset to go to the next side. Maybe you want to cross the ankles and try to find crow with the legs slightly crossed, just at the ankles. Maybe you want to take a vinyasa. Maybe you want to take a child's pose. Do whatever feels good to you. Find your way back to down dog. Be playful, be nourishing. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale. Nope, that's not what we did. Exhale, come to your hands and knees. Sorry, I almost forgot. I was like, wait, I'm gonna make them do more core work here. No, I'm not. Inhale, lift this right knee when it's bent. Open up to the side and try to, with control, bring that knee in. Oh man, it's hard. Making those abductors and adductors work. And then we come up into our side angle. So lowering the left heel, right hand inside of right foot. Bend that right knee. Inhale, left arm up, thumb against index finger now. Remember the engagements here. So tucking the tail, drawing sit bones toward each other. If you did so last time, straighten the right leg any amount to find extended triangle pose. Inhale, bend back. And we're gonna crawl the hands all the way to the left foot. And again, bend as deeply as you can, whether hips are high or low. Crawl hands out to the sides. And then hinge the torso forward. It helps if you're down low to keep pressing that left knee away with the left tricep. Because the more it comes in, the less the stretch is in the right leg. Inhale, crawl the hands back in and toward the right foot at the front edge. Both hands on the side of the right foot, heel toe it to the outer edge of the mat. Find your lizard pose. Maybe lowering the left knee. Maybe coming onto the forearms. Maybe planting the left hand, bending the left leg, and reaching back to grab it with the right hand. Whatever you did last time. One more breath. Slow release. And because what we did last time was symmetrical with that wide-legged forward fold, we're just gonna curl the left toes under, crawl the hands halfway to the left, and here, heel toe the feet in, and we're gonna lower the hips down for our yogi squat, malasana. If this does not feel okay to you, take a seat on the mat and just put your feet wide, your legs wide. We'll be here for just 2 breaths, pressing the knees open with the elbows, broadening through the chest. Again, draw sit bones toward each other. This is a great pose to feel that engagement in. If you just relax here, you can feel the pressure on your elbows from your knees. But if you draw the sit bones toward each other, that pressure lessens. On an exhale, we're gonna slowly reach forward and lower down. We'll all meet with legs wide. How do I want to start this? Let's start by bringing the left heel in. And it's not gonna have to go all the way to touch. Focus more on having like a 90-degree bend in the left knee. Now from here, we're gonna crawl and hinge. So it's like a modified pigeon. You might feel it at a different place in your body. If you're like, I don't feel that at all, then continue swinging the right leg around and square the hips for a full pigeon. The nice one, the modified one, is just a little bit nicer on the knee. One more breath here. Inhale back up, take your time. And this time we're gonna bring the right knee in. And I just realized I forgot a pose on this side. Don't worry, we will get that adduction in a moment. Hinge forward over this leg. Inhale back up through center. And because I'm a jerk and I brought us to our butts before we were actually ready to, just come back up to standing for a moment. You can stay on the long edge of your mat. Crawl the fingertips out in front of you and inhale this left leg up. Exhale, knee toward right calf, right leg can bend. Inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Last one, inhale, lift. Exhale, in. Again, if you did that weird grab of the foot last time, do it again here. You might walk the left fingertips back, lower the hips into our low archer. Wherever you're at, come back up, lift this left leg up, and then step it behind and to the right of the right foot for adduction. Lengthen the spine on an inhale before exhaling and just letting the torso be heavy here. A good check here is that weight is distributed evenly between all four corners of each foot, that the inner thighs hug slightly toward each other. Inhale, lengthen the spine, look forward. Step the left foot back out to the side. And take two of lowering onto the bum. Yay. All right. Once you arrive this time, go ahead, bring soles of the feet together. You can cradle underneath the toes with your hands and kind of rock side to side until you feel like you found a good, nice seat. Inhale to pull against the feet, lengthen the spine up. Exhale, we're gonna hinge forward, bending at the elbows. Go as far forward as you can while maintaining what feels like a long spine. And then maybe use your elbows to press into the legs. Every exhale, let your torso become heavier. Inhale, slowly lift back up. Swing your legs around so that you're on your mat lengthwise. We can bring the knees up, grab the backs of the legs, and try to really slowly lower. So press into the hands with the legs to control that lower, and then find yourself on your mat. Hug the knees in for just a moment. From here, we'll keep the left knee hugged in. We'll straighten this right leg out on the mat ahead of you. And then we're just gonna pull the knee across the body. So we'll roll onto the outside of the right hip in the process. Try to keep the right hip anchored toward the mat. The left knee and the left shoulder will be reaching toward the mat as well. They might not make contact, but make sure it's equal, that you're not totally lifting a shoulder off to get the knee down, that you're kind of equally keeping them equidistant from the mat. You might even extend this left arm out and look over the fingertips. Inhale to slowly bring the left knee back in. Give it a little squeeze once it's there. Bring in the right knee to join it. And then swap them out. Left leg straightens. Pull the right knee across the body. Right knee and right shoulder reach toward the mat equally. Maybe the right arm extends and you look over those fingers. Inhale to slowly bring the right knee back in. Give it a squeeze. Bring the left knee to meet it. As always in these last few minutes of class, you have options to do whatever feels good to you. I'm going to lead us through some slight back bending. We did quite a bit of back bending today, and so it might feel welcome in your body to add another one, or it might feel like you've done enough and you don't want to amp up the nervous system anymore. So listen to your body here. If it feels okay to do so, you can plant the feet hip distance apart, knees toward the ceiling, hands reach toward the heels, wiggle the shoulder blades underneath the body a bit. And then we're going to press into the feet, feel the tail tuck as it lifts, and then each vertebra lifts to follow it. You'll reach a point where you can press into the feet more to lift the hips more. We're flexing the glutes here to lift the hips even further. Press into the back of the head, creating space in the throat. Do not turn the head side to side here though. Keep it looking straight up. And lower back down. That bridge pose might feel good to bring into the body again. I'm going to show you a way to get into wheel pose on the wall, because I know there's a few people working on wheel pose in this class. If you have blocks are really handy because they'll make it easier. You don't have to have as open of shoulders if you're using blocks. You don't just need blocks, so you can have a rolled up yoga mat shoved against the wall, books, anything that will help elevate here. But you just place the blocks shoulder distance apart, which since there's a lot of space on them, it's kind of not that hard to, you don't have to get super precise. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see me super well, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant my feet and I'm going to have my hands on those blocks curled around. So my fingertips will be off the edge, but my heel of my palm will be on the block. And then I'm going to press into those and try to lift my head off of the floor. So let me rearrange my mat, otherwise I'll slide on my floor and fall on my head, which is not ideal. We set up very similar to bridge here. So feet are planted hips distance apart. I've got my blocks. It feels very weird to start, just so you know. Like this is where my hands are. Fingers are down on the one side, thumb and butt of the palm are on the other side. But as I press into my feet, I can come up onto my head and then press into the blocks to maybe lift. All this does is allow me less range of motion in the shoulder to be able to elevate into that wheel. And so if I feel like my shoulders are what keeps me from pushing up, it's a great option. You have to push really hard into them to get that lift of the head up. But as soon as you find, and experiment with distance of feet too, because if your feet are too far, you won't feel like you have power. If they're too close, you'll feel like you don't have power. Experiment with how far and close your feet are. But once you find that point where you can push through it, it's like pulling a bow. Once you pull past the crux, it becomes smooth and you feel that power of being able to press. So you might experiment with that if you're working toward wheel. Otherwise, anything else that feels good in your body these last few minutes. Just keep my money here. As you feel ready to move into a place of stillness, you might choose Shavasana, you might choose a seat, however feels like a pleasant way to settle down for the last couple minutes of class, for our last few breaths together. Find that space. And as you arrive, I urge you to bring awareness to the boundaries of your body. Just scanning if you're lying down from toes all the way up to head. If you're seated, it might be more like the zone that's touching the floor, rising up the torso and then to the head. But just notice your body. Notice the energetic field surrounding it. We did a lot of slower, longer holds today. And although they weren't as energy provoking, they were still very energizing. So the body might have a slight buzzing to it at this moment. Allow yourself to soften wherever you can as we take these last few breaths together. We'll do 3 full cycles of breath and allow them to just come naturally. After the third, we'll do 1 really deep cycle of breath, inhaling fully, expanding through the body. If you're lying down or even seated, you might reach those arms up overhead on this inhale. Exhale with a sigh, with a yawn, let it go. You might choose to find your way to a seat or otherwise to remain lying down as we close class today. I'd just like to draw our attention back to how we started, this idea of letting go, this idea of loosening the grip, noticing those things that we spend way more energy holding on to than ever give us any sort of energy. What might we have time for, energy for, if only we let that thing go? You can inhale, arms come up, out to the sides, palms come together overhead. We'll exhale, thumbs pause at forehead, recognizing this physical body and all it has to offer us. Thumbs coming to mouth in recognition of this breath, how without it we would be nothing. And coming down to the heart, recognizing that there is something that ties us all together. We look closely enough at anyone, if we listen intently enough to anyone, we can see that we are truly woven of the same material. Might this practice help us further align with ourselves, further embody ourselves, that we might more fully show up for everyone else in our lives? Namaste. Always the booty scoot forward after class. All right.